I chose quite the year to start YouTube. Between America collapsing in on itself, a worldwide pandemic, and countless other things, this year really has been something else. As we close in on my 1-year anniversary for this channel, I chose to reflect on the year and talk about some of the better things from this year. Because we all know it's been shitty, and I don't want to linger on that, you know? So I'm going to make an attempt to show you guys some things that made my year a little better and a little easier. Maybe you can take this into the new year and help you start strong. Now remember, I'm not reviewing these things or trying to sell you on them, because to be honest, I'm kind of just talking out of my ass for most of this list. I think to start off the video, I want to talk about some good things that happen around the world. I'm gonna do this in like a bullet point kind of fast-paced thing, you know, just boom, 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 boom. So first, Bong Joon-ho was the first Korean to ever win an Oscar, being Best Director. The award for Best Picture went to an international film for the first time, being Parasite. Scotland was the first country to make women's menstrual products free. Finland offers new fathers paid leave, the same as new mothers. A baby panda was born at the National Zoo this year. There was a rapid drop in carbon emissions this year. The Supreme Court ruled that no one can be fired for being gay or transgender. Black Lives Matter protests broke out across the country in a massive push for equality. There was record voter turnout in the elections this year. Polio is now completely eradicated on the African continent, and there were no terrorist attacks in America this year. These are just a few of the good things that happened this year. Of course, this year was filled with tragedy, and we can't ignore that, but we also just can't ignore the good stuff. So, go out and look for some more good things that happened around the world this year. I assure you it isn't hard to find some good stuff. And hey, if you can't, go make a good story yourself. Obviously, YouTube is really important to me, and so to get that out of the way, we're going to dive into the YouTube scene for some of my favorite creators, just good things that happened in the community this year. I've watched Jack for way too long. He's always just been such an inspiration to me, and I don't even mean as a creator, I mean as a person. He's always so kind and fair to everyone, always being so genuine, and it never feels forced, and I look up to him because of that. And this year, he raised $1.4 million in a single charity stream for his Thankmas campaign for Red Nose Day, with the entire charity event raising over $4.7 million in the span of 2 weeks, which is obviously absolutely insane. And it was a huge effort on the parts of many people in the YouTube scene. And in a similar vein, we have Matt Pat of Game Theory's huge St. Jude charity campaign, which raised over $3 million. There were many more awesome charity events this year, and I'm really proud of the YouTube community for these awesome feats. I sound like I'm YouTube's dad. What the fuck? Speaking of Jack, lately he's been heavily involved in the Among Us scene, along with people such as Valkyrae, Sykkuno, Corpse, all of whom I'm sure you've heard of and are amazing creators, so I'm not gonna linger on this too long, but watching all these people sim for each other just kind of gives me a reason to wake up in the morning. Praise Bingus. Alright, so we all listen to podcasts, right? I'm sure you can name a few of your favorite podcasts to me right now, right? Well, I don't care, because you have trash taste unless you say the Trash Taste Podcast. See what I did there? No. Alright, moving on. And the most ambitious crossover of the AniTube community, famous anime faces the Anime Man, CDawg VA, and Giguk made a collaborative podcast this year, an anime podcast, where they don't even talk about anime. Okay, but actually, this is such a genuinely entertaining podcast. Maybe it just checks all my personal boxes, but it's just like 3 dudes chatting shit for 2 hours every week, and it's so fun. They've actually only had like 2 podcasts where they, talked about anime, and I kind of prefer it that way, because I just like them hanging out and talking. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but it's a podcast. Just give it a shot. I recommend to try out their first episode with Chris Broad. I think that's a good one. The second one with him too, also. Just all of them, honestly. So, now that we're on AniTubers, let me talk about Super Eye Patch Wolf. He is, and always will be, one of my absolute favorites. And as you can tell, I watch a lot of YouTube, so that's high praise. I mean, there's a reason I'm writing the script for a video right now. So, take my word for it that he is one of the best. And something about Eye Patch Wolf is just so enthralling and captivating. He makes video analysis type videos on anime, movies, wrestling, and just pop culture. He really likes wrestling. And just every single video is unique with its own story to tell and perspective. Something about the structure of his videos, his soothing Irish voice, and his witty humor that all just meshes into top-tier storytelling. A video about him exploring the deep and cursed internet history of Undertale fandoms made me shed a tear. And that's like a once-a-year occurrence for me. I've been watching his videos for years now, and all the videos he's made this year have just been absolutely spectacular. He is my main point of inspiration for these types of videos, and I hope you'll give him a watch. Honestly, everything is good. Alright, so you know how much I love One Piece. I know how much I love One Piece. The guy at the 7-Eleven counter down the street knows how much I love One Piece. This isn't new information. Totally Not Mark was a Dragon Ball YouTuber who talked about everything Dragon Ball, from reviews to animation, you name it, but on May 28th, 2020, he decided to take a chance. He decided to change up his groove and review something else. So, started Mark's 6-month-long epic adventure in reading and reviewing One Piece for the first time. A reason this was so incredibly interesting to so many people, including myself, is that he was going in completely blind, which is pretty rare for most things. He had absolutely no prior knowledge to the show, and throughout the process, avoided spoilers. He had experience reviewing too, so it was good quality stuff. Maybe it's just because I'm a fanboy, but watching him go through the entire story, just as I had not too long ago, was so incredible. He gave really good, unbiased retrospectives and thoughts on each arc. And if you're a fan of the series, or even if you aren't, honestly, I recommend his series. Maybe you'll change your mind. What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of death? Are life and death opposites? Or one and the same? These are questions you've probably heard before. And it's questions like these that carry a lot of weight. I don't know about you, but I love questioning my own purpose and existence. Wondering if I'm ever going to amount to anything, or anything I do will ever truly matter, if we're all just pawns in some hired being's game, or maybe we're just all floating on this empty rock and empty space, and we're all going to die lonely and sad, and everything ends in death. Anyway. Unus Annus was something really, really special. It was something that, to those who experienced it, really did mean a lot. And I've always been fascinated with talks about the meaning of life and death, and Unus Annus stood for that. And sex toys. For those who don't know, Unus Annus was a channel created by YouTubers Markiplier and Crank Game Plays, who decided they would give themselves exactly 1 year to upload whatever they want every single day, and then delete it. All of it. The channel, the videos, everything. And they did. I was there when that first video came out, trending all over Twitter, and then that same day they cooked breakfast with sex toys. Yeah, you heard me right. Because that's what it was. They had all this build-up about life and death, and boom! Sex toys. And that's what it was all about. They just screwed around with each other every single day. Yeah, sometimes they had some super high production stuff, but the point was to just live life. Because that was their message. Life and death aren't opposites. Death is a part of living. For without death, without a concrete ending, what's the point? So, enjoy the time while you have it. And on November 13th, 2020, they did it. They had held a 12-hour live stream, and at the end they hit delete, and the screen went black. All that build-up, all that work, all those hours of laughs, gone. And it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'll never forget something Mark said towards the end of that live stream. That everyone can create. That everyone has that ability to make. And I think that's my main point in sharing Unus Annus with you post-mortem. Not only because it was such a fun part of my year, but just to share that with you. To let you know you can create anything you want in this world. You just have to work for it. Unus Annus was a hilarious ride, and I think it's really fitting how I talked about this as if it was a loved one who passed away. For it kinda was. Music is such a huge part of my life, as I'm sure it is for many of you. It helps inspire new ideas, collect my thoughts, even help me process emotions, and of course just a joy to listen to, sometimes vibe with. But, to be honest, I have absolutely no idea how to talk about it, so I'm just gonna wing it and share some cool artists I got into this year. Throughout this video, I've been playing music that I obviously enjoy, showing some things off to the extent that the YouTube gods will let me at least. But let's get a little more specific now. George Ezra is an English singer and songwriter who, as Google describes, makes blues alternative rock in Americana. I just describe him as like summer. Like just, he is summer. Maybe there's some bias there, because that's when I got into him, but hey, I think it makes sense. I'm sure you all have at least heard his song Budapest, because it was huge in like the mid-2010s. Personally, I like Shotgun a lot. It's fucking slap. Listen to that in the car with your friends. That does in fact hit different. Guys, Fleetwood Mac is really good. Here's some songs. Go. Now. Sometimes you just want to vibe. You know, roll down the windows, headbang and sing along with your friends. That's what Boy Pablo is to me. I found him this year and he's got some like funky guitar kind of thing going on and I love it. Feeling Lonely and Dance Baby are some of my personal favorites. Here's some others. Alright, this is all I'm gonna say. In Your Eyes and Tell Your Friends. Atwood really out here spitting straight bars. Gamble is my personal favorite song and was my top song of the year on the Spotify throwback thingy. You know what I'm talking about? Here you go. Look. Boom. I love his Loverboy album very, very much. So much so, I bought it in vinyl. Yes, I have a record player. I'm a cool kid. Everyone knows Pink Floyd. For a reason. They're outstanding. Pink Floyd gives me life. Now, Tom Misch, my man. I've been lately listening to him for a few years, but this year I got in deep, and I have almost all of his songs on Spotify, and a few I've probably listened to, Okay, so like, do you remember how many times you've gone to the bathroom this year? Yeah, a lot. His songs are like pure vibes, and are like funky, electronic jazz, and it fills me with ecstasy. Fuck, I don't know how to talk about music. I have a confession to make. I'm not some gigabrain media critic. No. I'm just a hype addict. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's that mean, Papa James? Well, you see, young Tommy, I don't watch anime or read manga for the plot, for the characters, for the themes. No. I ingest these mediums solely for the crescendo of all the emotions built up over the course of an arc or episode that all come to a head in one single moment that makes you stand up in your chair and scream, "Hell yeah!" And that's what all these are, based on hype. None more so than Haikyuu, volleyball, but extra. This year I watched Haikyuu, catching up just in time for the release of Season 4 Part 2. I don't feel like I have to explain Haikyuu, but I will. It's about volleyball. Okay, it's about a short guy who wants to be a spiker in volleyball, but he's short, so he jumps really high to compensate, and for some reason, this is like the hypest shit ever. This is definitely due to the characters, because they're all perfect little babies, and you want to see them win, and everyone always gets their fair share of good moments, even the 3 no-names on the team. And same goes for the opposing teams, because half the time, you also want them to win, because that's the power of Haikyuu, is that it gets you really invested in volleyball of all sports. Like, take Hajime no Ippo, for example. That's boxing. Of course you get hype over the matches. But like, 12 dudes in short shorts on a court passing a ball around, it doesn't make sense. But boy, oh boy, it sure is hype. Okay. I'm gonna simp for someone in particular now. To me, you're the main event. Alright, so this is one that came out of nowhere for me, as Jujutsu Kaisen debuted this fall and has been a hit across the entire community, and for fair reason. I mean, look at this opening! But for more than that, it's got some incredible animation across the board, a really freaking cool power system and premise, and the plot has been delivering so far, especially the most recent Mahito arc. It's been filled with really dark themes and absolutely amazing characters. The season's only half over so far, so I recommend you catch up and experience it for yourself. Cause like, look at Gojo. Fuck. Why am I always so attracted to Tsurugi? This isn't normal. But like, he's hot. He's hot! I tried getting into Fire Force like when it first came out, but for some reason I couldn't. However, a few months ago, I tried again and immediately got sucked in. I love the world it created, being a post-cataclysmic event. The whole world erupted into flames, and in the aftermath of the world being rebuilt, people spontaneously burst into flames and become infernos. Now, the Special Fire Force is a group of fire-wielding Christian firefighters who put the infernal souls to rest. And, as you just heard, the power system is top-notch. Every single ability is fire-based, and with how many characters there are, and how different the powers are, it's crazy impressive. Like one guy, Hinawa, controls the small flame that's created when you shoot a gun to maneuver the bullets around and their speed. Or like Arthur, who creates a plasma sword. Or Benimaru, whose ability is just fucking being cool. Or this chick, whose power is stripping, and cat ears, and a tail. Guys, I swear it's a good show. Come on, please. Being animated by David Productions, the animation is absolutely spectacular, of course. Like, come on. This looks so cool! It's also got some dark stuff, while also being super comedic and, of course, full of amazing fights. So, I started One Piece in December 2018 and caught up to chapter 964 almost exactly a year later in December of 2019. And I've been reading on a weekly basis the entire year, and I don't want to sit here and sap about One Piece because it's obviously been good all year, but right at the end of the year, One Piece reached chapter 1000. After almost 24 years of serialization, Eiichiro Oda hit this huge milestone, and even though I haven't been with the series for long, relatively, it's still incredible to see. And I, for some reason, have a nostalgic, proud feeling almost. I'm so excited for the future of the series, and bro! Chapter 1000 was so hype! So, I'll just talk about a few things that happened in One Piece this year that I thought were kinda cool. So we got the wrap-up of the Odin flashback, with Odin single-handedly being the most man's to ever exist. With the 9 scabbards being alone, Kanjuro revealed he was the traitor, which was wild and upsetting, and really well done. However, in my personal favorite Luffy quote from this arc so far, the Straw Hat, Heart, and Kid pirates arrive to save the day from the surrounded scabbards. Then, Jinbei finally returns from Toto Land and officially joins the crew, which was really hype and very sweet. The raid on Oginoshima began, with lots of little cool fights happening. Marco is back! Yamato made their appearance, and they are really cool, and Odin 2.0. Orochi got absolutely clapped. King and Sanji had this really cool clash. The Scabbards fight Kaido. This really cool shot. Zoro literally murdered Apu. Marco! Kaido made the whole island float. And finally, in chapter 1000, the gang makes it up to the roof, and Luffy does his Luffy thing by declaring he will be the Pirate King and punching the shit out of Kaido. This is just a daily reminder to go read One Piece. After catching up to One Piece, I decided it was finally time to read Part 7 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Having read Part 6 last year, I was missing it. And boy, do I love this part so much. But first, I want to try and paint to you just how truly weird and bizarre JoJo is, specifically this part. Imagine the year is 1890. It's the western frontier of America. Cowboys and bounties, horses and shootouts, the good old days. You're about to enter the Great Steel Ball Run, a cross-country horseback race from San Diego to New York with a grand prize of $50 million. You begin on your journey with the other thousands of participants from around the world. But as you continue, things get stranger and stranger. First, you see an Italian man throwing steel balls with such a curve they can disfigure a man's face and make a paralyzed man stand. You see that same paralyzed man shoot his fingernails as if they were bullets. You see people turning into dinosaurs. You see people walk on rain. You see the president of these in here United States of America, whose name is Funny Valentine, on a hunt to collect the scattered remains of Jesus H. Christ in order to become the greatest president in history. And this is only a few of the absolutely insane and amazing plot points and abilities of Steel Ball Run. Araki has a way of coming up with these really insane ideas and managing to implement them all in one really damn good, cohesive narrative. Part 7's main pair, Johnny, Joestar, and Gyro Zeppeli, are probably my favorite two characters in the entire series, partly due to how well they work together as characters, but also for how well developed and progressing they are by themselves. Valentine is also one of my favorite villains now, same with Diego. The story is obviously very, very intriguing and keeps you coming back over and over. Overall, this is definitely my favorite part and the strongest in general. And most would agree with me on that. So, if you're an anime only, or you haven't even watched JoJo, first get through parts 1 through 6 and then read part 7. It'll be worth it. Alright, so after My Hero Academia Season 4 ended back in April, I decided to pick up the manga from where the season left off. It wasn't an insane amount to catch up on, so I did relatively easily, but oh boy, shit good. Okay, let's just go in order. First off, Deku vs. Overhaul. Incredible, amazing. Next, School Festival. Honestly kind of a slap. Then, Joint Training. Spoilers. I can see how on a week-to-week basis this could be mid, but I enjoyed my speedy read-through. It has lots of cool battles, and the Black Whip part was cool as hell. Also Shinso, Dad. After that, My Villain Academia. Holy shit, Daddy Shigaraki, holy fuck! Yeah, so that was a 10 out of 10 arc. Baby Tenko. Holy! After that, Endeavor Agency arc. Pretty damn solid. Liked the boys training together. And finally, what I caught up to at chapter 265, the War arc. This shit was on another level. Yes, I have a few qualms, but they pale in comparison to the overwhelming positives of this arc. Like, here's a few examples as to why I love this arc so much. Miriko. Oh god, Miriko. Oh, Miriko. Hawks, oh my god, he's my Hawks, what? What? No, Twice. But I love Twice. Fuck! Daddy is awake! Jigomacha! Oh shit, Deku is angry! Angry! Eraserhead? But his arm is... What? Fucking... Bakugo! Deku angry again? Jigomacha! Dabi? Dabi? Endeavor? Todoroki? Dabi? All for one versus one for all? Best Genist? Golden Boy Mirio? Airy. Everyone fucking died? So yeah, arc just ended and I'm hype and very upset. Time to move on. Every anime fan when they first start out has this almost otherworldly ability to binge watch in a way that defies reality. For example, I remember finishing the original Dragon Ball in about a week, 152 episodes, but eventually you lose this ability, for whatever reason. However, through my ventures late last year and early this year, for my first time actually getting into manga, apparently I have regained that ability. So I read about 400 chapters of One Piece in about 2 months, and then about 100-something chapters of My Hero in a couple days, about a week. But nothing compares to this one little show. You see, my brother kept telling me about this manga, how absolutely crazy it was and mind-boggling and really good, and so I finally decided to give it a try. Chainsaw Man. I started this manga and caught up to 87 chapters in the span of a day, purely because it was so damn good, like I couldn't put it down. I read it in the shower while I ate everything, non-stop. In fact, I got so invested, I went and bought my first physical manga volume, being volume 1 of this series. I really don't want to say a lot because I think this is best enjoyed blind, but I'll do my best to sell it to you. Chainsaw Man is all about humanity and dreams. Denji, the main character, just wants to have a normal life. For Christ's sake, he just wants to touch a titty. And we can all relate to that, I think. But life isn't fair. Sometimes it's really, really unfair. Fear and tragedy control our lives, and that shouldn't be the case. Life is about pushing past that control and coming out on top. But it might not be that easy. People die. Dreams get crushed. It might all be futile. And despite all this hardship, there will always be hope. For hope is what makes us human. God, I should be a poet. God damn! Part 1 of the series is over. Part 2 is yet to have a release date, but I'm excited, and I hope we can all start Part 2 together, huh? Now go out there and get it, bud. It's worth it. Oh yeah, the final season of Attack on Titan just came out. I'm sure that's going to be good. This year on Halloween, I watched The Thing for the first time. This is a movie I've wanted to watch for a very long time, and finally getting around to it, I'm happy I did. I went into the movie knowing literally nothing, and I recommend you do the same, so spoiler warning, folks. It wasn't exactly a scary movie, which is what I went in there expecting, but it was really well done, like sci-fi thriller almost. The practical effects for the time it was made in were really, really impressive and never took me out of it like some older movies do for me. The alien monster thing was really interesting in its almost zombie-like nature, but even more so when it got down to it taking over people as copies. It made a really nice setup for a who's the traitor kind of conflict. Kurt Russell obviously was a great lead for this movie and stole the show. He paved the way for some really enjoyable character interactions and tense moments. And that ending was amazing as well, tying everything up nice and neat. Everyone loves Pixar movies. They use the medium of animation to create some really touching stories. And in the case of Soul, for example, they really extended their reach and touched on some really mature and inspiring topics, which honestly really made me think. I'm sure you've seen Soul, but if not, what are you doing? Go watch that shit right now. But I don't bring up Pixar to talk about Soul. Although, in my opinion, Soul is a better movie, Onward really hit me. I know a lot of people didn't really like this movie, and I get that. I do. It's got some issues, but for me, they did mean a lot. And maybe I'm about to get way too deep and personal, but I think I just related on a level I usually can't with in movies. If you haven't seen it, Onward is about two brothers who go on a journey to finish a spell that will let them talk to their late father for 24 hours. Having half done it, they have a time limit to complete the spell. It's pretty simple and an overused format, honestly, but it has heart. The older brother, Barley, had a strong bond with his father, but the younger brother, Ian, doesn't even remember him. Maybe it's because I have such a strong bond with my older brother, but at the end of the movie, spoilers, by the way, after all these moments built up throughout the movie and Ian realizes he doesn't need to do all these things on his list with his dad because he's had his brother with him the whole way to teach him all the things, he ends up making a sacrifice play to let Barley talk to his dad for the last few minutes while Ian is trapped in rubble. Something about that whole bond they have and that relationship really struck a nerve in a good way. Pixar's supposed to be fun for the whole family, so why do I feel so sad? Anyway, enough personal stuff, that's gross. Ooh, this seems like a nice family movie, right? Sometimes you want to watch something that really just destroys your perceptions of humanity. Or something that breaks all your barriers. If you're in the mood for that, go watch Parasite and don't waste time listening to my shitty review. This movie is so fucking good, dog. As something nobody really knows, I'm a bit of a buff for cinematography, and this movie absolutely blew me away with these fucking shots. They're all so intricately crafted, even for the most minute things. And the characters are also perfectly portrayed with dialogue, and again, the camera and direction. The plot, obviously, is masterful in execution and expresses the movie's themes and purpose in such an intricate way, weaving all of these different threads together. It's such a thought-provoking movie. I know. Cringy. But it's true, and every single scene is impactful and meaningful. Throughout the entire movie, you'll either be on the edge of your seat, cringing with your stomach in knots, or even shaken in pure discomfort. I honestly don't even know what else to say about this movie, but it's just so good. I'm kind of upset I'm not saying more about this movie, but I don't even know what to talk about that isn't just a step-by-step through the movie. Anyway, go watch it, please. Very good. Have you ever been scared out of your mind? I don't mean shaken or frightful, but pure, primordial fear, discomfort, distress. That is the feeling you get when you watch The Shining. This isn't some big budget horror movie with jump scares and big effects or monsters. I wouldn't even call this a horror movie. To me, it's something more. This movie is the embodiment of human fear. Yeah, there's some questionable ancient legends or curses involved, but at its core, it's about a father slowly becoming more and more unhinged by the vast loneliness, reaching the point of hurting his own wife and child. To me, even this premise alone is terrifying, but adding in all the otherworldly events happening, it only enhances it. Stanley Kubrick's amazing direction and cinematography, along with the uncomfortable and tremendous acting put on by Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, all work together to really sell this movie. Everything in this movie adds to the increasing edge and existential horror of the film. Yes, even the bare blowjob. With this list so far, you might think I'm some horror buff, but I'm really not. I think there's just something about these movies that really just shows the uncomfort and horror that comes with our own humility. And that's most present in The Shining. I knew what this movie would come to. I mean, I think we all do with this scene alone, due to its famous record. So even if someone mapped out the entire plot to you, just going into this movie and experiencing this masterpiece for yourself is an unparalleled movie experience. I've played a lot of video games this year to pass the time, like playing Minecraft with my friends or meeting some really fun people in Among Us, but I don't have much to say on those, so instead, I'm going to talk about some more personal games that I played this year. This game really is special to me. Even though I haven't finished it yet, I can tell it'll be a game that sticks with me for a long time. It was what I started this channel on, and it's been at the center of my growth in the case of learning what to do and open myself up. I believe this game will always be a foundation of this channel. I'm still not a pro in any way, and far from it, but this game is something that has helped tremendously. Not to mention the incredibly investing story and characters, along with the charming world and look to it. As someone who grew up playing games like this on the PS2, I'll always have a soft spot for these clunky 3D models. The story is really interesting, grown by subtle world building and charming dialogue. All these characters are amazing and distinct, giving you a reason to love them all individually and as a group. The way the game is building the mystery and building Sephiroth up as this almost force of nature rather than a person is incredibly well done. I've always thought Sephiroth was a really cool villain without even knowing the story of the game, and now obviously that opinion has only been solidified in my mind. I have some personal issues with the combat, but that's only because I'm used to other JRPGs, and this is a little different, but I'll give it a pass because it is still without a doubt fun as hell. The materia system too is a highlight of the combat, allowing you to build your own custom loadouts of magic and attacks. I think it's really fun. Now the music. The fucking music. I've loved the music to this game long before I played it, and obviously playing through it, it went up a solid 10 ranks in my eyes. The music is so PlayStation 2, yet so distinct and unique to the Final Fantasy franchise, thanks to the work of Nobuo Uematsu and Minoru Yakoe. Overall, every part of this game clings together in a beautiful way, creating a wonderful experience and narrative, and I can't wait to finish it off. Ghost of Tsushima is a breathtaking game with so many working parts that put it a cut above the rest. Firstly, its story is amazing with great themes and plot threads that culminate in an amazing finish. I love the characters, especially the growth of our protagonist, Jin Sakai, as he has to adapt to the increasingly violent and changing world around him. His story arc is amazing and supported by some very solid and lovable side characters. His world and environment really allow you to immerse yourself, and it can make you get lost riding around on horseback or playing around in photo mode. There's so many things to find and do around the island, you can honestly ride forever just exploring. That stuff is great and all, but that isn't why I'm here right now. Because obviously I love the story of the game, but that isn't what really makes me adore this game. To me, it's the combat. It's not a terribly difficult game like the Souls games or anything, but everything about this combat makes you actually feel like you are a samurai. The amount of joy I get from taking on a group of like 15 fucking Mongols, embodying them, is unparalleled. The combat is integrated very nicely into the story and gameplay progression, and even towards the halfway point, you're still learning completely new game mechanics that feel fleshed out and well-deserved and even add to Jin's character growth. Having different stances to use against different types of enemies and a quick and easy way to switch between them enhances the combat in almost every way, adding to that sense of immersion. Overall, I love this game, and it might be Game of the Year. Well, it's not. Not even close. Good second, though, because that title goes to something else. Okay, so Persona 5 Royale is my favorite game of all time. That's it. You can go home now. I don't need to explain myself. Why are you still here? Alright, fine. I'm just gonna say it. Kasumi is way better than On. It's not even a competition. You're booing me because I'm right. Take your garbage taste and get out! Okay, so if you watched my quarantine video, you know Persona 5 was my favorite game. And obviously, a re-release that only added to the main story, added a new, better conclusion arc, and literally the best character in the series, how would it not replace it? Like, okay, look at this. The combat is incredible and intuitive, and there's so many different personas to use. They're all so different and cool. Okay, well, maybe not all of them, but still. The characters are all so good. The Phantom Thieves have a great group dynamic, and individually they are all really well handled. I have my personal favorites. But everyone does. Ryuji, I'm looking at you. I would fucking die for you. The story is amazing from beginning to end, except for Akumura, but that's fine. All the palaces are fun and well-crafted, except for Akumura, but that's fine. Blah, blah, blah. I can talk about this game all day. But let's talk about what this game did that was different and better. First, Akechi. In the original, I really liked Akechi. I liked what he did for the story and as an antagonist, but you could tell there was just a bit missing. His whole confidant was moved forward by the story, and it never really felt personal, even though there was a clear duality being set up between him and your main character Joker. But in Royale, that issue was completely resolved by giving him an actual confidant path that is much more personal and builds your relationship with him. But overall, his character arc is the same, up until the new last palace, where he really stole the show. He and Joker really showed what they have as a team, and his motivations throughout this part are just awesome. No dude, I choose what I do, fuck you. Is basically why he teamed up with Joker, and that's enough for me. I mean, look at him. He's fucking like, what? Next, Maruki. So when Maruki got introduced, I really didn't know why. He just started out as their school counselor. I thought it was kind of pointless. But as the story went on, as he acted as a counselor for the students and his relationship with Joker strengthened, I realized he was going to be important for all the kids. I didn't really know how, maybe to realize their full potential in the metaverse and that new final arc or something. But some kind of key to get to the new final boss. Then, as the final arc began, I kept thinking about who the new palace's owner could be. Maybe Kasumi's, her father's. That's kind of what it seemed to be building up to. Then, as it approached, the reveal of the true owner of this palace hit me like a fucking truck. It was so clear, yet why did I never realize? I guess it's because I loved him so much. He was so kind and awkward, and his motivations were completely solid, which made it so much worse when he appeared in front of me in all his glory. He's definitely my favorite palace villain in this game. He had build-up throughout the entirety of the game. You got to know him and why he was doing what he was, and it makes the ending all the more involved and motivating. He also added a lot to the themes of the story with the fake world he created and making everyone you care about happier. And you have to decide if it's worth it to be a pawn for all your friends to be happy or to break free. Driving home that theme of control and being free even further. You also empathize with him, and it makes everything much more human once you finally get up there to fight him. His palace was incredibly fun as well, and his boss battle was just as fun and even more of a spectacle. Maruki truly is a wonderful character and a perfect tragic villain for this game. And finally, Kasumi. Or should I say Sumire? She's a fantastic character, and my personal favorite addition to the game. Her character arc, being intertwined with Maruki's, as an almost false identity throughout the majority of the game, coming to the big reveal is incredible. Something I didn't see coming at all. As well as her arc of finally becoming sure of herself and accepting her past mistakes and overcoming her grief. She's an amazing companion to Joker, as her sweet and nervous demeanor makes her eventual badassery. I shouldn't say eventual, she was always a badass. Even sweeter. I don't want to sit here and gush over a fictional woman for too long, but as I said earlier, Sumire is the only actual choice for best girl. Fuck you, fight me. So, overall, I love this game. I love it so much. It's so fucking good. I was gonna end this video super like, well, if you take this message, this and that give, we can learn a lot about our mortality. Or some shit, but I want to make this more genuine. I made this video solely to share some things I enjoyed and maybe help you and spread some good things and positivity. And we've all had a bad year. I know it's been a rough one for me. I've been in and out of a lot of mental stuff, but even though this has been a horrible year, I hope I can remember this year. Not only for the lessons I learned, but also fondly, as the year I really gave my dream a shot. Spread a good message. Almost like a starting point. So, to wrap things up, I believe in you. I believe every single person on this planet has the ability to achieve greatness. I think this year has shown us all we can push through, and I believe that very same thing for you all. Get out there and make something great. I know some random guy's words don't probably mean a lot, but no, I mean every word. I hope everyone has a good year this year. Let's all work together on this one. Love you all. Cheers.